Just while we're waiting for questions, I'll give you guys a little bit of an update. I talked to Greg today, and it sounds like we're going to be doing our webinar. Greg Mercer, for those of you guys who don't know, is the CEO of Jungle Scout. So he made it, founded it. He and I are going to be doing a live webinar, basically going over, really deep ways to use Jungle Scout and do product research for Amazon. And if you guys don't know, he's probably the most successful Amazon seller of all time, in my opinion. He's killing it. He was the first person that I kind of started learning from, and so I'm super excited to kind of go over a lot of stuff with him, ask him really detailed questions about the software and things like that. Question 1 from Charles. When you search for a product in a successful seller storefront and track it and see something that looks good, then head to the main keywords to see competition, how many is too many, even though it's selling? How many is too many? I assume you mean sellers. I mean, when you're looking for keywords, once you find a cool product in the storefront, right, you want to look for products that have a high volume keyword. So the first thing I do when I find a cool product like that is I go to merchant words or whatever you use to measure volume. I look for something that has, over 30,000 to 50,000 monthly searches. And from there, I kind of start to look at the competitive landscape, right? So if it has a high enough volume keyword, then what I'll do is I'll put that keyword into the regular Amazon search bar, and then I'll start to look at that first page, right? So if you're seeing a bunch of people that have 1,000, 2,000 reviews or something like that, it's probably one to stay away from, right? But if you see like 3, 4, 5 different people on the front page of that keyword that you found associated with the seller storefront, right? And you're seeing products on that first page related to that keyword that have 40 reviews, 30 reviews, things like that, that's definitely something that you want to take a look at. Do you personally have any products that are oversized? How is handling shipments, fees? Is it worth it if you have the capital and the profit margin for the product? Yeah, definitely. I mean, oversized products, like a map of the USA is technically a world oversized product depending on how big it is, but it's about the longest side, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a couch or something like that. It can be just like a long, small object, right? And so I definitely have sold oversized products. I think it's actually a good thing in some ways, right? Because it kind of keeps away a lot of other sellers. The oversized aspect really doesn't have a huge impact. Like, right, the fees are a little bit more. They're actually less during Q4, similarly, right, to fulfill because you want to get the inventory out of the warehouse, but oversized doesn't bother me at all. You just have to factor that in the FBA calculator that will, calculate those FBA fulfillment fees based on the size of the product's ASIN, right? Your competitor's ASIN that you're plugging into the FBA calculator. When setting up for Amazon affiliates, do you do it off your personal Amazon account? The second step is it asks you to set up a URL you'll be using to sell the product. I feel like it would be weird giving the URL to my brand's Facebook brand page if that's the product I'm promoting. Christopher, what do you mean giving the URL to my brand's Facebook brand page? Or do you mean the AMS brand page? I'm going to move on, but just update that and then I'll answer it. I'm confused with AMS. I got an account, but it's in my business name instead of my brand name. I'm not sure how that happened. Okay, this actually happened to me too, Jillian. So you can actually have multiple. I opened a new one in my brand name also, and that's where I have my brand pages, right? Because you don't want to differentiate because sometimes your LLC or whatever just doesn't have anything to do with your actual brand. So yeah, you can make multiple pages, and then you can make brand pages within AMS specifically related to your brand. Trey, how would you recommend bundling for a product that comes from 2 different manufacturers? This is a good question. I mean, the main way I do it is whichever manufacturer that I have more rapport with, that I feel more comfortable talking to, that speaks better English, and that we just kind of get along and understand each other. I use them as my main manufacturer, right? Because when you're shipping from 2 different companies into one centralized place, you want it to be assembled in the more professional manufacturer that you trust more, right? That is going to represent and give you the quality that you want. So I usually ship it to the one I trust more, have them assemble it, have the packaging sent there too, have the stickers applied, have pretty much everything done there, because as you guys know who are in the course, I really don't like dealing with middlemen as far as shipping. So instead of shipping it to a freight forwarder's warehouse to be assembled in the USA, which can cost, thousands of dollars depending on the size of your shipment, I just train my manufacturers to assemble it in such a way that it's basically Amazon ready as far as carton labels, pallet labels, everything is just all set to go the second it leaves China, and then I ship it basically directly to the Amazon FBA warehouse. So while we're waiting for more questions in the student group, I'm going to go back and check YouTube for a second. What are your thoughts on viral launch market intelligence? I like it. I mean, I'm a Jungle Scout guy through and through, but I mean, I know the guys who run Viral Launch. They're smart. They're a smart group. It's definitely a viable option. I think Jungle Scout has a very entrenched lead as far as database items, right? As far as their web app and the data that they already have been able to collect, through scraping and things like that. That it's going to take some time for anybody to kind of catch up. So like Unicorn and Amazeowl and things like that, they're viable alternatives, but if you want the truest data with the most data points and the most aggregation of, things that you're going to want to be looking at and be sure about, especially, right? And like I preached to my actual death, Jungle Scout, like every software, is just an estimate, right? The only true source of data is the iTrack method, as all of my students know and hear me preach until my actual death. Austin and YouTube, have you heard of Unicorn Smasher? Yeah, I just mentioned that. Keith, yeah, we'll see you in the group. Tuning in from Barbados. What up, man? First time and ready to learn the ninja secrets. All right. I know you run your business based on the data, but how do you feel about choosing a product that you know is going to be very popular soon because of the niche you're in? Does that make sense? Krista, yeah, I mean, yeah, that definitely does make sense. I don't know if you watched my original kind of product research video that I released a few months ago where I stumbled across fidgets, like before basically anyone else knew about fidgets. And I have friends with ADD. I'm kind of a fidgeter myself, so it definitely you should be using, your own experience and your own kind of, not only life experience, but your what you know. You should be using what you know in your product research. Absolutely. Yeah, you saw that. Yeah. So you should definitely be using your own experience. It's a huge, positive advantage for you. Shalom, do you know about the new changes regarding barcode, UPC, and SKU? Big changes. Yeah, I mean, GS1, I still personally use Nationwide Barcode, right? They're GS1 certified, but they are resold. GS1 right now is like $700 per year or something like that, so it's a big barrier for new sellers. And until Amazon is actually restricting new product listing creations based on non-GS1 registered UPCs, I'm going to be continuing to use Nationwide Barcodes. I mean, it would be an unbelievably awful undertaking from Amazon's perspective, updating their catalog retrospectively for non-GS1 issued UPCs. It would be unbelievable because there's just millions and millions of products that use non-GS1. As you said, if your product's directly from China to FBA, are there any customs issues? Well, I give power of attorney to my freight forwarders, right? So once it comes over to the USA side, I just deal with my USA based company, right? There's a freight forwarding company that's based in China and one in the USA. They handle everything. All you have to basically do is get the continuous bond. How hard is it to be profitable? How hard is it to find a profitable product that is less than 1 pound? It's not hard at all. Not at all. I'm going to go back to Facebook because I want to focus on the student questions. How do you recommend bundling? Okay, we answered that one. So Derek, how do I pay FedEx my import fees? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. So if you could clarify, I'll move on until you do. Any tips on using 1688 for leveraging costs for an Alibaba manufacturer? Yeah, definitely. I mean, 1688 is a great resource. So, I mean, if you speak Mandarin or speak Cantonese, especially Mandarin, you can just order straight off 1688, right? And that's the easiest possible way. But a lot of people don't. And so, me included, I don't actually order through 1688 very often. But a powerful way because people are visual, right? Whether they're from China, whether they're from the U.S., doesn't matter where they're from. People are visual. I like to put everything on the screen, right? I'll show the cheapest price, you know, in yuan, in the Chinese currency, on one side of my screen with my product that I'm trying to get off Alibaba. I'll show in the middle the Google currency translator saying, you know, this much RMB is this much USD, and then on the right side, you know, I would show the price on Alibaba, and I would say, hey, you know, if you guys can match this price in in the Chinese currency, but I show it straight up in USD per unit, the cheapest one I can find on 1688, right? And so it's $1 off 1688. Once you translate that currency, it's $3 on Alibaba, and I say, hey, like I mean, this other company is offering it for 1. If you can match that, I'd much prefer to do business with you, right? And they might come back saying 2, then you might settle on 150 when before you had that, you know, you're about to pay 3, which is 3 times as much. And when you annualize that over 500 or 1,000 different units or whatever, you know, you're ordering, then it really starts to add up, right? If you can save money at every little step, you know, saving money at the suppliers in 1688, saving money when, you know, you're skipping the middleman when you're freight forwarding, it really starts to add up, and that's how you increase your profit margins from like the 20, 25, 30 range up into the 40, 50, 60 range, which is where you want to be. Matt, do you have all reorders inspected as well as the first one? Yeah, this is a great question. So this is definitely not, you know, a steadfast rule everyone should be following, but yes, I do. I've had a lot of experience ordering from China. You know, sales manufacturers, QA manufacturers, QA managers, they change, right? You never really know exactly what's going to happen. And just because you have a long relationship with a factory, you know, something could go wrong. Maybe they were rushing before, you know, a holiday. It's just not worth it to not inspect, in my opinion. I built into every one of my purchase orders, as the student group knows, we have the clauses about re-inspections needing to be paid for by the supplier, right? So, and the reason we do that is twofold. Developing that expectation up front really keeps the supplier on their toes during the initial manufacturing, because they're like, you know, we really don't want to fail this we don't want to fail this inspection, because we're going to have to pay for it if we do, and then we're going to have to replace those units. So in every purchase order I make, I include a clause that basically says if the inspection fails as determined by the buyer, then the supplier or the seller is responsible for repaying. So yes is the answer to your question, Matt, in a long-winded form. I do always inspect even on reorders. Joe, you seem to have a lot of good relationship with manufacturers. Other than simply doing business with them, how do you personally build solid relationships? Do you use Skype with them, phone calls? Yeah, so I mean, I'm just kind of an annoying person. Like, I always use like winky faces, even when I was working at, you know, PwC and Facebook, like over chat. Like, even with my coworkers at, like, you know, serious businesses, I was always like that, and that's just kind of who I am. And so just be yourself, right? Like, some of my manufacturers and I, like, he'll send me hearts and say, like, I miss you, like, when are you next ordering, or like, when am I coming to the USA to visit you? I mean, they're people too, right? They're not robots. They want to have fun. They work long hours like everyone else, right? So just be yourself, you know, be friendly, take the next step if you want to send them a gift, or, you know, check in with them, ask how they're doing, ask how their life is. Don't just jump straight into business. It can help. So Christopher, it says list all the top level domains and or mobile apps on which you plan to display banners, widgets, special links to list your Facebook page's URL and take commissions off your own product. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. So we actually confirmed this in my 7-figure mastermind. We got one of the managers on the phone, and to send us an email confirming that it's okay to get affiliate commissions selling your own products, because I thought the exact same thing, Chris. I was like, is this legal? Like, is Amazon gonna like crack down on me on that? So I mean, if you want to be super safe, message seller support and say, is it okay? Is it kosher to, you know, get affiliate commissions for selling your own products via affiliate? Brad, you're so lost without my kitchen. Yeah, I bet. It's actually so hot in this room, I might move to the kitchen in a second. Do you practice martial arts? Yes, in my spare time, but you know, I try to make it exclusively Amazon Ninja-ry. Also, how do I make a new AMS account? What do you mean a new AMS account, Jillian? I'm gonna move on from that, but I'll answer it when you reply below. Let's say you're running a low bid campaign and your ACoS is high, but you're getting impressions and sales. Would you lower your bid? So this is a good question, Anthony. The reason this is a good question is because, despite what a lot of other Amazon mentors or gurus or whatever you want to call it say, really what's determining rank, besides, keyword rank and organic rank, but what's determining BSR rank and really going to boost you up is traffic, right? Amazon has a heavy incentivized reason from a business perspective to give people, more rank and more share of the profit and revenues for bringing people outside the Amazon website, right? From Facebook, from Instagram, from wherever, onto the Amazon warehouse, onto the Amazon website, right? So when you bring traffic, and it's not only external, Amazon counts as well, but when you bring traffic, whether it's, via the low bid but you're not getting sales, but when your listing gets traffic, you build rank. It's as simple as that, right? And so even if you're not, getting sales from that, but it's not costing you that much, right? Because it's our low bid campaign that we've talked about in the student groups, then it's really going to get you more organic sales, even if you're not seeing it directly from those PPC sales. Chris, he said no stupid questions. You don't even understand what I'm asking. All right, that just sounds like, okay, yeah, a little brother quarrel. Are we still protected if our LLC name is different from our display name? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if somebody sues you, they're gonna be coming after you, for your personal liabilities. The reason that you use an LLC is to protect your personal assets, right? And so the maximum you could possibly lose in a lawsuit when you are protected by an LLC and you're selling through that LLC is, right, the profit that you've earned through that LLC. I get a lot of products that when I add them to the cart that perform the iTrack 999 method, they say that the supplier only allows me to buy a certain amount of product. Kind of kills the iTrack method. If the product is really good and the numbers look great on Camel, Google Trends, and keyword planners, it's still fine to buy it. Yeah, so Barbara, this is a good question. This is probably my first or second most common question that people ask me. The answer is if there's no competitors whatsoever that you can iTrack, that's all. If there's any competitors, iTrack them, right? That's just the truest source of data as I preach to my death. But if there's literally no one you can iTrack, every single person has max order quantity, then using the Camel sales rank, teamed with Google Trends, looking at merchant words related to the overall, highest volume keyword is a viable alternative. But I always say you always want a pattern with iTrack, right? I think that's why you want to iTrack. Yeah, exactly, Charles. What methods do you use for hiring a virtual assistant? Would you happen to have an example template that you could share with the Facebook group? Yeah, hiring a virtual assistant is really important. What I like to do first is give them a task that's like somewhat difficult, that's not just like super brainless, and say, hey, like I have an example task that I want you to perform. I'll pay you. I'll be happy to pay you for your time. And then, see how they do. See how they do a good job. Give them a deadline. Tell them to message you at a certain time. See how timely they are. Use a time that is in your own time zone. Ask them what hours they work and things like that, right? So you want to give them kind of a test, just like you do with any other employee. Look up how Google hires their employees, right? So you want to kind of, not in that same level of rigor, but, perform tests to just kind of see their aptitude, see their timeliness, make sure that they're responsible and things like that. Isn't there import or custom fees I have to pay when my product gets to the USA? So to be honest, Derek, I am a huge fan of outsourcing everything regarding shipping. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to think about it at all. I finally found someone that I really trust, and she has by far the lowest prices that I've ever seen, right? If you're going to use FBA Forward or, Shipley or Forest or Shapiro or whatever, one of the ones that's in the USA, it's going to be almost 2 times more expensive, if not more than 2 times more expensive than these international forwarders. The one specifically that I've shared with the student group is one of the best that I've found. Yeah, so Anthony, thank you for answering that. I should have just read that first. You're a fucking winner, Kev. Thank you. You could also just call me Chris. All right, man. My bad. When do I get the continuous bid from my freight forwarder? Yeah, so the continuous bond. Yeah, so they just get it for you. It was like I think it was like $400, but it goes up and down sometimes. So my AMS says my biz instead of my brand. You said that I can make an income. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so you can do it within your AMS profile. You don't have to make a new account. Just if you can't figure out how to do it, to be honest, I don't remember how I did it. I think you can just send in a chat ticket through their contact us portal, or there's a way to just add a new brand. I think click where it says your LLC name, and then I think there's a way to like add new brand. Um, Charles, can you do a real case study similar to JS Jungle 6.1 and add it to the full course? I think that would be amazing, especially if you had 5 to 10 students to buy in for 1,000 each and share the profits for the first 12 months of profit. I mean, that would be a ton of work. As far as the profit sharing and the taxes associated, that would be nightmarish for sure. But I'll definitely think about that. As far as the case study goes, I think that that would be a cool thing to do. Yeah, I've never actually thought about that, but I definitely will consider that, Charles, for sure. Shahin, if you release a product on Amazon and that direct competitor's product is at $20, for example, but is not as premium as yours, would you match their price so you can get some reviews first and then raise the price, or just keep it at the same as the competitors? So this is a good question. Pricing psychology is very interesting. If you guys have never read about it, you should. The funny thing about that is, and this is assuming you have at least a few reviews, right? Before I do anything, before I start PPC, before I do giveaways, before I do literally anything, I get 3 reviews. And people are probably saying how, a lot of people are doing friends and family. I'm not going to say I'm doing it, but, most, if not all, Amazon sellers are doing it. If you do choose to do that, which is against the TOS, then just make sure you're very unrelated to them. No shared addresses, names, right? You're not Facebook friends. Amazon can 100% track if you're Facebook friends with people. And so, but once I get those base reviews, it's definitely interesting to see that if you truly do have a premium product and you have premium images and it's obvious, right? You can price it at, even if it's 20 is your competition, you go $29.99, $34.97, $39.97. And you're going to be surprised that you will get some sales, right? The best way to do this in the most data-driven way is to, use Listing Dojo or Splitly to actually do a split test on your prices. Started at $19.97. Maybe people do want to see something cheaper, or maybe people are noticing the premium aspects of your product and they are comfortable paying, double for it because it's obvious that it's a premium product, right? So you mentioned eye tracking your top competitors often. Is there a fair amount of sellers selling a similar product? Are your competitors the handful that have lower reviews? Well, I mean, when I'm talking about eye tracking the top competitors, I'm not saying my top competitors, Matt. What I'm saying is the top competitors, right? So I'm talking about the top 5 or the top 10 organically ranking on the first page related to the highest volume keyword that you're targeting, right? Say a product that you're planning to begin selling has 1 to 2 competitors selling around 800 units a month each. After you launch your similar same product, what would be reasonable expectations for sales on yours? You wouldn't really expect 800, right? Would potentially the 3 of you sell? Yeah, so I mean, there's only so many buyers for any specific niche or product, right? And so when there's 3 equal quality products and there's 1,600 total sales per month, instead of 8.8, it's going to split to like 533 each, right? And that's assuming that you have enough reviews to even be a viable option for Amazon customers, because nobody's going to buy a product with 0 reviews when there are product choices with multiple. So we're caught up on Facebook, so I'm going to go back to YouTube for a second. Hi, Kevin. What up, Auden? Oh, what up, Auden? I didn't realize that was you. Hi, son. It's your mother from another brother. Wear it like a diva. Oh, what up? Shalom. I'm reading the questions in the student group. I recognize your name. So go into the Brown Belts group, and you can ask questions just directly from that Facebook Live video. What's the name of the freight forwarder? I use Unitop, but I've also used I've used Shapiro. I started with FBA Forward, and they're absolutely awful. Never use them. They're terrible. But Flexport is really good too. They usually don't take really small sellers, but once you get to know them, they have really excellent customer service. They're a little bit more expensive, but it can be worth it at times. Krista, if you accidentally infringe on a patent, what are the chances of getting sued? Is it much more common to get a cease and desist? Yeah, it's incredibly unlikely to be sued, right? You want to be safe and get an LLC so nobody can come after your house and your cars and your bank accounts, right? It's unlikely to be sued. Nobody wants to put forth that effort, right? Unless you're doing something absolutely egregious, or you hurt someone's baby or something like that, right? Those are the situations where you're going to get sued. 99.9% of the time, you're going to get either a cease and desist, or they're just going to report you directly to Amazon's infringement form, and your listing's just going to get shut down. If you take a product that is selling like a lot and improve on it and make it better, do you patent it? Can you patent it? How do you protect your improvements if you can at all? Have you done that? Shalom, yeah, definitely. I mean, design patents, if you really pour your heart and soul into something and you make something that's a head and shoulders above the rest, you have a specifically different and improved design portion of a product, right? That is when you want to think about patents. Most sellers aren't going to do it. Uh, you know, don't get bogged down by that and think, I have this great invention, I have to patent it right away, right? Get it to the market, get some sales, see that it's working before you kind of worry about all that. Hey Kevin, do you need a freight forwarder if you use air freight? Romaro, you should come into the student group. You should do it as well, just so I can read them all from the same place. Yes, I do, for sure. Use a freight forwarder for air just because I'm lazy, to be perfectly honest. I really hate dealing with shipping. I trust my freight forwarders. From time to time I'll audit, get a couple quotes from another person for the exact same specs of number of cartons and pallets, just to see that she's cheaper and things like that. Yeah, Kim, I know it's you. Um, would you go with a supplier that is only has 1 year behind their Gold Star supplier icon on Alibaba? So gold standard is like a big illusion, right, Kim? So I mean, you can pay for that straight up to Alibaba. It's like a fee to get you gold standard, right? So I like to check, gold standard. I like to do trade assurance, because if these companies are willing to pay those fees and they're willing to, go through the hoops of getting trade assurance, then they're definitely in it for the long haul. They're not like some sketchy new factory that's just like trying to scam a bunch of people and things like that. That's how I look. That's how I like to look at it. I check to see if they have a website. I check to see how many years, excuse me, how many years they've been in business and things like that. What is your biggest advice to running a profitable PPC campaign? Number of keywords, budget, listing optimization. I mean, Sam, that's about a 20-hour answer. So I can't answer that one on here. But if you are curious about that, message me on Facebook, or I specifically poured my heart and soul into the modules regarding PPC, regarding listing optimization. They're probably the two most complicated and important aspects of Amazon. And if you do manage to master those, you're going to be fine. As long as you do your due diligence and product research, you're going to be a hugely successful seller. Why can't we do air, from Sean? Sorry, could you clarify what you mean by that? How long does it take? How long does it take to get 1 million? I mean, you could become a millionaire if you work hard in a year, right? But you have to have enough capital up front to really get the ball rolling. People ask me all the time, can you invest $500 into Amazon FBA, and when are you going to see your returns? Like, yeah, you can, but you can only buy 200 units and you have to wait 3 months, and then you're making a profit reinvesting it. And the less you invest, the more the time that goes into getting those returns becomes. It's exactly proportional, right? The more you invest up front correctly, doing your due diligence, the bigger and bigger and exponentially bigger your returns are going to be, right? So why let your money rot in a bank when you can invest it into products, paying $1 and getting $2 back? Sorry, there's a ton of YouTube questions now, so I'm gonna switch back to the Facebook group. I want to make sure that we answer all those. So Anthony, when you blast a run, let's say a 50 unit giveaway, for example, why do you choose to target the phrase in your title rather than individual keywords? The reason is because when you're doing a blast in like a manual review group, like a Facebook group, you need to make sure that whatever phrase you give them to search, rather than a URL, is bringing your product up first. So if you only use one keyword, unless you're organic number one for that keyword, and you're not going to be, or else you wouldn't be doing a blast trying to increase keyword, ranking, then it just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, you have to include enough keywords in the keyword blast to make your product appear first, so that promo reviewer is going to click on it and buy it, and then you're going to, increase your ranking slightly for each of those words rather than focus on just one. If you're on the first page, but you want to get to organic position 1, oh, you're talking about through my private connect? Yeah, let's talk about that offline, because there's a lot of people watching right now. So I just did what you told me about the eye tracking competitors, and they all have $9.99. Plus, I decided to track the top 5 competitors, and they all said I had too many items in my cart. Yeah, so that pretty much means that they all have more than 999 quantity. Barbara, make sure that they're actually FBA fulfilled, because if they're FBM, then Amazon can't tell you how many units are left, because they don't have the units in their inventory tracking systems. So if they are all FBA, then that means that they all have 1,000 or more units, right? So if you're seeing positive numbers and you're seeing high sales rank on the Camel sales chart for those, then very, for sure, including Google Trends, including merchant words like we always do, right? That they're moving some units, right? Because if they're comfortable enough to ship 1,000 in at once, then they know, from historical data, that they are definitely going to be shipping those units, or selling those units. Joseph, sorry, did you say you use Unitop freight forwarder? Yeah, I use Unitop. I mean, they're international forwarder. I'm gonna keep the exact, the exact people that we use and subsidiary of that company just within the student group. So we can talk about that. Feel free to PM me. Let's say you found a great product in a saturated niche, i.e. tons of generic listings, as well as PL ones. Normally you stay away, but you found a way to tweak the product so that you are different from all the cheaper options. Price it higher, but lower than the brand name one. Is it worth pursuing still? I mean, Charles, I know what you're talking about, and I know personally the people who are selling the number 1, 2, and 3 organically ranked product of that. They have huge bank accounts. They have huge amount of giveaway margins, right? You don't want to do that specific product. To answer your question in a general sense, if you can improve it and the review barriers aren't, unbelievably high, then maybe, but there's just so many options out there of just random little niches that you can find through all the methods that we've all talked about, right? And you can find these diamonds in the rough that are doing 10,000 revenue a month. So it's not going to attract all the different hijackers and different people that want to steal your that want to steal your method. Yeah, I see you responding. That want to steal, portions of your revenue, right? Because that was the problem with Fidgets, right? They came out and they were doing $100,000 a month, but that attracted 1,000 different Chinese competitors, right? And then it sucked away all of the profit. But if you go for these products that are making, $7,000 to $10,000 a month, it's not enough to attract all that competition, but it is enough to be worthwhile to set up the infrastructure and logistics that it takes, to be able to just reorder with a click of a button and have that constantly, just pouring money into your bank account with a simple reorder, right? Yeah, don't be stubborn, says Jillian. I mean, that's important. I mean, obviously we're joking around, but it is important to be objective about this stuff, right? You don't want to fall in love with any products. That's how you make mistakes, and that's how you have inventory sitting in your warehouses, which you don't want. Can you talk more about identifying seasonality of a product? Yeah, I mean, Bjorn, this one's actually relatively simple. The only way that I need to talk about seasonality is Google Trend. Oh yeah, so Joseph just answered your question. Yeah, so you can cross-reference the camel sales charts with the Google Trends, right? Look at the months of the year and then think about where you're targeting, right? If you're looking at the USA only and you see that July through September, this pool product is absolutely killing it, but during December, January, and February, it's not. It's pretty easy to cross-reference that with the sales rank of the camel. And I also absolutely love that Joseph and Charles are answering these questions correctly. It makes me so happy when everyone's learning. Yeah, my bad. I entered a new brand this morning and it wasn't showing, but I forgot to confirm my email, so I'm cool now. All right, cool. Do you do consultations? No, not really. But I do want to do these like group consultations like this more often, right? Like maybe once a month or once every couple weeks, or however much people want it. Would you recommend launching multiple products simultaneously at lower units over launching 1 to 2 with larger units? Of course, this is considering they all have similar demand. Yeah, so Bjorn, if you've done your product research, I like to order the absolute minimum possible, right, in the 180-day period that we've talked about before long-term storage fees, exponentiate at the 6-month mark. I like to order the lowest amount possible, um, and then from there, after I've actually proven 100% that I'm getting those sales, that I'm earning that profit, then I like to reorder quickly. I'll ship in 100 or 200 by air just to maintain that momentum, and then I'll ship another 500 by sea to make sure that we don't stock out for at all or for too long. And that's how I always like to do it, right? So I'll launch 10 different products at once with 300 units each. 8 of them are selling like crazy, 2 aren't. I don't reorder those. I quickly reorder the 8 that are, and then I ship the main portion via sea. Slava, absolutely. I saw you're selling in the UK market video. Is it really that difficult getting set up, or is it really not that bad? It's not that bad, but I mean the VAT stuff is annoying, and the bank account stuff. I have a good friend who changed his banking information. Just never ever change your banking information without getting 20 written confirmations from Amazon seller support, saying that it's okay. You're going to tell them exactly what you're going to do. You're going to ask them what kind of information they need to give before and after and everything. So if you're ever going to change your banking information, especially in the UK, just don't do it. So plan ahead. Only open bank accounts where you're not going to have to change it that often. I'm going to go back to YouTube because we're caught up here. I've researched myself to death. When do you think is a good time in the process to just pull the trigger and order your first product? I mean, yeah, so Chris, I mean, that's the reason that we have these specific setup criteria, right? If you've eye tracked something and you can see that the top 5 competitors or the top 5 organic search results related to the keyword that you're targeting have 40 reviews or less each, and they're selling 5 a day, and each sale after you've gotten the cost of goods sold and the shipping cost per unit, right? So let's say it's selling for 20, the Amazon fee is 4, so that brings you to 16. The cost of goods sold is 5, so that brings you to 11, and shipping costs 2, so that means that it's $9 profit per unit, right? It's selling 10 per day based on your eye track, and so 10 times 9 is $90 a day. You multiply that by 30, right? And then you all of a sudden have your profit that is related to that product. So it's not really a guessing game when you do your due diligence and you look at all the available data. Nick, what's up? Rebecca, I just started the course and all this is overwhelming. Don't get overwhelmed. I mean, I specifically split the course into very chronological steps, right? So just go through product research. Absorb it, maybe watch it 2 times. The first time, just watch it. The second time, take some notes. And then just go into action, right? You don't have to go into module 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or the bonuses at all until you've absorbed the knowledge from product research and you've had a chance to dive in and do some research for yourself. Once you find a cool product, bring it to me. We can talk about it. You won't get overwhelmed. Just follow the course. I made it super chronological and everything that you possibly could need, right? Stephen Ray, if you have anything... Oh, how do I make this bigger? Oh, here we go. Oh, I just lost your question, Stephen Ray. I'm 15. Oh, I renamed the title of my listing today, but it's not showing on Seller Central after 15 minutes. My original name was too similar to a brand, and I don't want to get dinged. Are you brand registered, John Liu? Just answer below, and I'll readdress it. TDT Royale, I'm 15, likeliness of me making money. I've researched like crazy, and I have over 4,000 saved up to invest. Damn, you have 4,000 saved at age 15, TDT? That's badass. And yeah, I mean, the likeliness of you making money is 100%, right? If you're doing your due diligence and you're using these methodologies that people have proven work, right? And you're, tracking the top competitors, you're making sure your profit margins with the FBA calculator, you're looking at the, volume in merchant words, you're verifying it with the volume in Google Keyword Planner, right? Because the only true volume estimates for keywords come from the search engines. Everything else is an estimation based on BSR, right? Honestly, on my first product, I realize it's a learning process. I'll be happy as long as I'm not losing money. I mean, if you're doing your due diligence, like I've said, Krista, you're not going to be losing money. What's up, man? I appreciate everything you're doing. X Demand. Oh, thanks, man. Elvis Sparky. It's a nice trumpet. Do you sell in the Canadian market? Do you have any advice for someone who is? Yeah, I mean the Canadian market is basically the USA market with a third as much volume and a third as much sales, or even probably even a lot less than that. Just based on population, based on buying power, based on you know acceptance of online selling and things like that. The USA market is just so expansive. I mean, I wouldn't personally focus a ton of efforts on Canada if I was already selling in the USA because you don't want to get overwhelmed, right? It's tempting to say, I could be selling in the UK, I could be selling in Canada, I could be selling all these different places, but you got to stay laser focused in this, right? It's very easy to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to lose track of the activities that are building your business and making you the most money. Scott K. I wonder if that's you, Scott K. Do you ever have products that are bust even after all your research? I mean, yeah, I have, especially when I was starting out. I just didn't know as much. I wasn't doing all that was necessary to ensure that I wasn't going to make those mistakes. And there's always things that are kind of out of your control. Maybe someone gets granted a patent after you've already ordered, or they get you accidentally infringe on a trademark that you didn't properly research, and your listing gets shut down, right? So there's things that are just kind of tough breaks, but if you're doing your research up front, there's really no reason at all that you'd have any products that were busts. Um, Pranay, yeah, just message the support. They should be taking care of you. Oh gosh, I'm losing. There's so many comments coming in. Sorry, one second. How can I get the notice this group Q&A in the future? I think you can just subscribe, and if not, you can go ahead and message me on Facebook. We could try to figure it out. But I think just subscribing to the YouTube channel in general should be enough. I'm gonna switch back to the student group really quick. Um, How the F did your head not explode learning all this? Emily, yeah, I know. It's a lot, but if you organize the data and instead of trying to memorize stuff, you really try to like understand it, it's a huge, huge benefit, right? Because once you understand it, it's not like you're trying to remember all of these little things. You just kind of understand the flow and the process, and it becomes more intuitive rather than, difficult. Well, I know what you mean, but you have to start somewhere when everything is available at once. It's definitely overwhelming. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going through the entire course all at once unless you're already like somewhat experienced, right? I would recommend going through product research, absorbing it, taking notes, reviewing those notes over a couple days, and then doing the product research yourself, finding a couple products, eye tracking them. Start to notice which ones are successful that you're spotting, which ones that aren't. Kind of start to notice the differences. Bring those products to me, all the students. I love reviewing products from you guys, and we can talk about it. I don't know what y'all are talking about yet. Rebecca, you will. Yakova, you will soon. Agreed. Just take things step by step. You'll be up to speed soon. Um, he's like an effing number wizard. Thank you. I don't know if you're talking about me, but thank you. Kevin, do you have someone on the ground in China for sourcing? Oh, sorry, I just lost that. Or do you do all the sourcing yourself? If so, when should we consider finding a purchasing agent? Brad, I've never used a sourcing agent. I've had multiple offers. People have approached me, a ton of people, right? I've used some of the more popular ones from the other groups that are based out of America. It all breaks down to just one specific point to me, and that is no one cares as much about your products as you do. It's not possible. You have to love your products. You have to love all the choices that you're making. You have to love, every little step of the way. You have to make sure everything's perfect. And no sourcing agent is going to do that to you, to them. You're just another customer, right? And so I've never used sourcing agents. I never will outsource that specific portion. And that's just my personal preference. Kevin, what are your thoughts on low margin, large pack items, for example, craft paper bags? Um, Slava, sorry for reading that out loud because you just got your product idea potentially stolen from like 1,000 people on YouTube watching this right now. Low margin products, if they're selling a ton a day, it can be okay, right? I have friends who sell garbage bags, and they sell 150 a day, but they're only making, a dollar or two. But when you think about that, if you're selling 10 units a day at $9, it's $90, right? If you're selling 150 units at a dollar, it's more than 90, right? You're making 60 more profit. So it all comes down to daily or monthly profit. So just break it down like that, and you'll be all right. Oh, you're not selling that one? All right, good. Sorry, I shouldn't have read it out loud like that. Uh, Currently, my LLC is being looked over by the state of secretary. Oh, by the Secretary of State. Do you recommend I wait until I get the papers of confirmations have been made to make this Amazon seller account? No, definitely make it now, Shahin, because Amazon, since the influx of all the Chinese hijackers and stuff like that, Amazon has been auto-suspending all new accounts, right? And they ask you for a utility bill, a business license, and inventory orders, purchase order reports from your supplier. So do it now. You're probably, most likely, I'd say 100% actually, going to get your account suspended just because it's an automatic process now. So do it now, and then you can upgrade from a personal to a professional once your LLC comes in. It's super easy to do that. I know sales come first, but once you've proven demand and depth of a niche, how strict are you with evaluating the competition? If there was quite a few in the top 10, say 7 out of 10 with a really high 2 to 3K reviews, but 2. I personally have never and will never sell a product that has a single person with over 1,000 reviews, right? I wouldn't even sell a product. I wouldn't even enter a niche that had a single seller on the first page results with over 500 reviews. I would just never do it. There's no reason to. You guys have seen from live product research that I've, recorded and shared on the student group how easy it is to use the bestseller list strategy, how easy it is to use, the full extraction storefront strategies. There's so many ways to find these super, super niche products that you can enter into and, develop a commanding lead in. There's just no reason to enter a niche that has, 8,000, 2,000 reviews. What do you do if you're offering an ebook and you market it in your listing and a customer has opted out of emails on Amazon so you can? What do you mean, so you can? I'm going to assume that you mean so you can't send it to them. I mean, there's nothing you can do, right? Amazon sellers or Amazon buyers have recently figured out that they can opt out, and they're going to do it by the troves. If they buy a product expecting an ebook and they message you about it through your messaging center, send it to them as an attachment there. But otherwise, you just can't really worry about it because it's out of your control. 1 second, guys. I'm going to grab some water. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry. Yes, Kev, you're a number wizard. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. Brian, hey, Kev, can you quickly explain how to bundle 2 products together when having to deal with 2 manufacturers? Brian, yeah, I already answered this, but basically, whichever one I trust more, I have the other one send it to the one I trust more and have them assemble it, apply the UPC or the FNSKU stickers and do all the packaging and things like that. I don't know what conversion rates are at this point, and I'm afraid to ask. Joseph, conversion rates are pretty simple, man. I mean, right? If you have 1,000 impressions and you have, 20 or 200 sales, then you have a 20% conversion rate, right? And it's always going to be lower than that. It's going to be, between 1% and, an incredible conversion rate would be like 20%, right? It's not going to be that often, but, sometimes it happens. Oh, you're just kidding? All right. What if you're tracking... I know, I'm sweating. This room is super hot. What if you've been tracking 2 different products and after 2 to 3 days, all of them of the stocks are going up instead of down? I know this probably means that they're moving stock around. Does this mean the iTrack method can take much longer than 7 to 10 days? I mean, yeah, it definitely does. You can't stop the iTrack method until, you have a pattern, right? That's what we always talk about. Yo, can you turn that down? I gotta do it out here. All right, guys, we're back to the kitchen. It's too hot in there. Yes, you need more data. Um, any feedback about the new viral launch program Amazon is offering? Viral launch program Amazon is offering, Kim? Could you clarify that? I asked you this before, but with a different twist. All right. My seller name is currently my brand's name, but I want to make it more generic to sell other items. Won't this make it an issue if I ever want to sell the brand one day as other items are linked to the seller account? What do you mean to sell the brand one day, Christopher or Chris? Why do you help all these people? I mean, it's really nice, and I'm sure, and everyone here appreciates you very much, me included, but doesn't it just create more competition for you? Or maybe really overwhelming to teach all of us? No, I mean, I love teaching. My biggest passion in life is, setting people free from the 9 to 5 slavery that, society has made seem normal, but is not normal at all. So it's not overwhelming. I love it. And, I'm not worried about creating competition for myself. There's more than enough, to go around on Amazon. There's so much opportunity. There's so much out there that I'm not worried about creating competition whatsoever. There's more than enough to go around for everyone. Have you heard of the Amazon Recruited Professional Merchant Program? Bjorn, to be perfectly honest, no, I actually haven't heard of that. But if you want to share information about it, I'd love to check it out in a PM. If you want to sell seasonal, how do you do product research to know what will sell in each season holiday and how far in advance should products be in ahead of the season? Right, so you just have to think about how long it takes via sea, how long it takes via air, and how long the lead time is for manufacturers, Yakova. So, you can look at Google Trends and you can see exactly which months it's peaking, right? You can look at historical charts on Camel for sales ranking. You can see which one's peaking with the highest BSR, right? So once you know the months that it's selling the highest, then you basically just count back from there how many days or months it takes to manufacture and how many days or months that it takes to ship, right? So if it takes a month to manufacture and, a week to ship by air, then you're going to go 5 weeks before the start of the seasonality, right? So if the seasonality starts in July for summer, then you go 5 weeks back from that, and you want to make sure that the manufacturing is starting by then, right? So give yourself a little lead time, but that's just the way that I've always done it in the past. And, look at how many are selling during that time to know how many you should order without having like a huge amount of stock left over once that season has ended. Chris, what if I ever wanted to sell the brand? Wouldn't that be an issue if I have other random products? No, not necessarily. If you're selling exclusively on Amazon, then if you are looking to eventually sell the brand, then maybe you would want to, right? If you're ever going to sell the brand, you're going to be truly committing to that product line, right? So if you're going to do that, then just spend the extra effort to create a new seller account, keep it mutually exclusive, and sell the brand as an Amazon seller account, via Empire Flippers or however you want to do it that way. But, if you're not overly committed to any specific product niche or, horizontally related situation like that, then, don't worry about it. Just sell a plethora of different products via your Amazon seller account and, you'll be fine. When Australia gets Amazon, would it be a good idea to wait a while before selling there? I know it's out of my range, but might be a good question for someone else. Absolutely not. There's absolutely no reason to wait. Australia is a huge market. You can tell, from different methods and methodologies like Google Trends, like evaluating, what Australians are liking. You can look at trending products on Wish. You can sort specific e-commerce sites by region. There's a ton of different ways to tell, what is selling well in Australia, and you want to be the first mover, right? You want to hit those markets first. Once you've done your due diligence and you know it's going to be a popular product in Australia, being there first is where you're going to get the huge lead in, not only sales, but also review dominance, right? Where people are going to look at that market and say, this person already has too many reviews, maybe we don't want to enter there. And then you become the incumbent, and the new sellers are looking at you and saying, nah, they have too many reviews, I don't want to compete there. And that's when you develop, a truly cemented long-term product that is going to be successful for, years to come. Regarding a holiday like Christmas, would it be reasonable to assume products that were big hits the last few years will continue to be hits during the holiday and kind of try to jump on the bandwagon a few more months to start building a listing that will be relevant as holiday approaches? Joseph, yeah, the Q4 is just insane. Like, I was not ready for it. I will be ready for it this year. I sold out of everything I had. Like, literally all of my listings went pretty much to zero. I couldn't order fast enough. There's huge, you know, buildups of people trying to desperately replenish into Amazon fulfillment centers during that time period, and so there's like weeks of processing, and it's just a huge mess. I mean, that's actually a funny question that nobody really ever asked me, but how do you prepare for Q4 would be something interesting that we could talk about, within the student group. But sorry, to answer your question, yeah, you can jump on it, and there's definitely an annual trend as to what's popular during Christmas. So you can make a safe assumption if there was a very popular item, and I wouldn't do this with toys because they're definitely very they change over time. But with more common or like gift related products, you can make a pretty safe assumption that if they did well last year, they're going to do well again this year. Then you just have to evaluate the competitive landscape related to the keywords associated with that item and kind of go from there. Um, Rochelle, same question. Also, would you recommend a newbie starting now with a seasonal product for quick profits to aim going live for Xmas, etc., or go with a generic product first? I never recommend seasonality because there's just so many products available that aren't seasonal that you can kill it with all year rather than one specific season. And it's just a pain to do like the inventory forecasting and manufacture lead time, ship lead time, and do all that. So I just prefer not to do seasonal questions, or sorry, seasonal products. But yeah, if you want that quick turnaround and you want to just get your feet wet before you kind of dive full in, and now is the perfect time, right? Mid June. You can assume buy C is like a 3-month lead time. If you want to absolutely make sure your profits are the highest, then you can really be arriving during kind of like that Q4, and you can give yourself time to set up all the product listings and do things like that. So yeah, if you want to try to make quick profits, I wouldn't say don't do it, but establishing products that aren't seasonal, I would definitely recommend more so. I hear a lot of questions around C shipping. Can you go over a few reasons why C shipping is used? From the previous course, I was learned to avoid C shipping. Sean, definitely don't avoid C shipping by any means. I mean, if you have heavy products that are prohibitively expensive to ship by air, C shipping takes longer, but that's how you get your profit margins into the 50 and 60% range. Oh, Kim. Okay, yeah, the early reviewer program. So this is the program I think it's $60 an ASIN. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I haven't looked a ton into it, but this is the one that's $60 per ASIN, and you're only eligible to apply if you have between 0 and 5 reviews to literally get you those first reviews. I would definitely think that would be a good idea, right? If you don't have friends and family in the USA, if you're international, or if you just want to, abide by the terms of service, it's a great way to get those first few reviews that are so difficult to get. If we're new and still learning, should we even try to enter Q4? Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have a huge head start, Emily. Like, I don't know if you have a 9 to 5 or not, but if you don't, then you can commit all your time to FBA, and you could be more than ready going through the course and having products in the air or on the sea much before you'd want to be ready for Q4. Because the new brand registry requires a trademark for your brand and trademarks require you to choose a category for your products, what do you recommend to those sellers who'd like to sell products from all sorts of categories under a single trademark brand registered brand? So you can actually, like, in Trademarkia, they asked me that same question, and I talked to one of my buddies that's going to Stanford, or that's going to law school in Stanford, and what he basically said was for trademark law, you can actually have them register you with multiple product categorizations, so it doesn't have to be restricted to just one. Yes, I deliver the damn mail, all these Amazon packages. Okay, cool. How many days do you suggest doing a blast giveaway to get to page 1 and make it stick? Some people have said 7 and 5. What's your view? Dan, this is a good question. I mean, what I like to do personally is I track my top competitor, right? Organic position 1. If they're selling 10 per day, I'll give away 11 or 12 per day, and I'll do it for 3 days. I'll compare what organic position page-wise that I was on before, what I'm on after 3 days. If I was on 7 and I come up to 3, right? Maybe I'll do it for a couple more days. Maybe I'll pop up to 2, right? And maybe I'll do it all the way through the full 7 days, and then maybe I just sneak my way onto 1, right? So you're tracking what page you were on before, kind of how things are progressing as you are doing the giveaway, and just kind of go from there. I'm going to switch back to YouTube for a second because there's no more in Facebook. Oh my gosh. There's a ton of questions on here. Product was making something 12. Can you buy course next month, or do you stop selling at June 30th? Young, yeah, you can. I'll keep it open. As far as the promotion, I'm definitely going to shut that down. Hey, I have capital, Toronto local, looking to invest with someone in the FBA space. All right, somebody hit up Armin. How many products would you order to send to Amazon for your first time? Actually, what I like to do for this is, so long-term storage is a super expensive storage cost. Amazon starts charging this after the 6 month mark. So I like to base my inventory projections on this 180-day period, right? So if I'm looking and eye tracking and I see that the top 5 sellers are averaging 5 a day, then I'll multiply 5 by 180, and that would be the max that I would order for my minimum order quantity, right, and send to Amazon. Mario, thanks. Would you recommend a newbie starting now to look into gift options going into Q4 just for the quick profit? Oh, okay. I think I already answered this one, Rochelle. Um, Sorry, I keep getting popped to the bottom when people add new questions. Oh my gosh, sorry, there's a ton of questions. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any, but I don't think I can answer all of these. Uh, Abundance Mindset, viral launches a research product. I copied half of a description from another seller. I didn't know it was illegal and got removed. How do sellers find out someone else is copying it? I mean, Amazon has extremely, powerful algorithmic tools to do this type of thing, right? I've heard of people with unactive listings that copied a photo from someone else, getting their entire account suspended because Amazon has very sophisticated photo recognition software, to prevent this type of thing. Because it's a huge problem of theirs, intellectual property, and they have to be very diligent about it to keep, sellers coming to their marketplace. Hey Mario, what does ASM stand for? Amazing Selling Machine. Um, what is your monthly income from Amazon? Neo, it's higher than my 9 to 5 job by a lot. Steven, Vlad says ASM is like 5 times more. Oh, that said 5 times better. Vlad, ASM is like 5 times more expensive than Kevin's course. Um, did you ever get in trouble for selling a product? No, not yet, but I'm gonna knock on wood for that because I've heard about it a lot, and I try extremely hard to prevent any things that could jeopardize my account. Sam, love this. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. How long does shipping by sea take to get to us? It depends, but I mean between 25 and 35-ish days is what it normally is, depending on if there's any hiccups. How much money have you made so far on Amazon, Andrew? More than my 9 to 5 job. Uh, so to compete to an almost monopolized seller, is it a bad idea even though it's a household product? I mean, if it's a name brand product, right? If it's like Brawny or KitchenMaid or something like that, I wouldn't. I would look at the sales of the top 5 people, and if like 99% of them are with one seller, then that would probably be a red flag that I'd stay away from. Is there enough free info out there to succeed in e-commerce business? I understand that a paid course makes the most sense. Just want to know your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I didn't purchase a course at all. I mean, I looked at most of Greg's stuff, which is why it's so exciting for me to be doing a webinar with Greg next week because he was like the main person that I learned from and trusted. So once you find someone that you can like kind of tell knows what they're talking about, stick with them. And that's one of the best ways to learn. I mean, the biggest advantage of a course is the community, right? Like, so our student group is already very close knit. People are helping each other constantly. A lot of people are at the same place. And so it's just a huge help having, there's always going to be some little questions that pop up, and just having a community and people that you trust to just be like, hey, what did you do in this situation? And, to have someone with a ton of experience in most situations that you can ask the tough stuff. It's a huge, huge, invaluable tool. But yes, it is possible to find free info out there by yourself. It's just much less organized, and it's a lot more difficult and takes a lot more time. Chances of finding a product that can easily make 5K a month from your product research module. The chances, I mean, it's 100%. It just depends on, how much you're putting into it, how creative you're getting, how deep you're diving, and things like that. And just, message me, Jose, so because I'm always happy to take a look at products as long as, people are giving me the information that I asked for in the common questions doc because, I mean, you have to have a certain set of data to look at to make an informed decision, right? Because the worst thing in the world is not doing your due diligence up front and then having products just sitting there in the in the Amazon FBA warehouse, not being bought and not generating you any revenue. How much money do you need to start a profitable product? I recommend between $1,000 and $6,000. Right, I started with six, and you can definitely do that for the same. Oh boy, my brain is tied in a knot. So much information. Kevin, do you think anyone can do it? Revital, absolutely, you can do it. Just make sure you start, set yourself reasonable goals, right? You absolutely can do it. So many people, so many of my students already have done it from scratch. It is possible. Make sure that you just get started. It's the most important point. Can you use PayPal credit for buying products from manufacturers? PayPal credit is really specific in what they allow you to spend that money on. So I don't know for sure. I've never actually paid for anything from a manufacturer on credit. I've always just used cash. But I would be interested in that, Fabian. Can I get a discount on the course? Vin, message me. Maybe we can work something out. All right, I'm going to jump back into the Facebook group, the student group, just to make sure I answer everything here. How many days do you suggest doing a... Okay, we already answered that one. Can I tell a dirty limerick? Yeah, go ahead. I might not read it, but we'll see. I think you could do a whole course on beginner stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of beginner courses that are out there. I wanted to make a course that not only worked for beginners, but was also super valuable for, people that had already been selling a while, kind of like intermediate people, but also had a ton of value for advanced, right? Because I think of it like math, right? If you could go directly from the beginning, learning, not only all the beginning and incremental infrastructure things, but the advanced stuff all at the same time, you just take a lot of the time out of that equation, and you can start making those, advanced expert gains sooner by learning the advanced strategies while you've also started learning those beginner strategies as well. When doing product research under categories, do you just find 1 to 5 products doing good for that niche, or do you look for many more sellers? I mean, I don't think it's hugely important. If there's five people on page one that have less than 50 reviews and are selling $10,000 a month, then you can, and you're looking at the reviews. Maybe they only have 4 out of 5 stars. You're looking at the quality of their listings. You're looking for fully optimized bullet points. You're looking for images that aren't necessarily the best. And you think to yourself, how can I provide more value than any of these 5 people that are ranking on page one and that are generating all these sales, right? And so what you're thinking to yourself then is, I could take better pictures than that. I can create better copy. I know so much now from the listing optimization, from the PPC modules to outsmart them as far as listing optimization, back-end keywords, as far as the PPC campaigns, to quickly outrank them and take over that page one presence. What was the toughest product you launched, and how long did you work on it to get it to work or not work? Dan, yeah, too many people are maybe watching right now to go over exactly what product it is, but there's definitely one that was tough for me. It's probably took me about 2 months to get it to go, to get it to kind of turn around and get to the place I wanted it to be at. But that's okay. Usually I like to do product research for 3 to 7 days, and at the end of that period I like to have found 10 products, right? And I'm eye tracking 50. I'm narrowing it down to 25 after 5 days, and then I'm narrowing it down based on the competitive landscape, based on the keyword volume, based on all the different things we've talked about so often, to narrow that 25 down to 10. Once I have those 10, I get the quotes from suppliers. I get the shipping quotes per unit from my freight forwarder. Once I have that for the 10, I plug that into the FBA calculator. From that 10, I see that 5 of them have much better profit margins, and then those are the 5 that I kick off and launch, right? And I do this all in a 7 to 14 day period, and then I have those products, on the assembly lines being sent to America within that 2-week period, right? And then from there, that now you have profitable products. What are some of the biggest avoidable mistakes that you see beginners make, and how can we be more mindful? That's a great question, Joseph. I see people making too specific seller names often, and that's not a huge issue. But the number one mistake that if anyone's watching, please listen to, is not doing enough due diligence, right? Never ever just jump into a product because you just have a gut feeling. Never ever, commit all this money and time and love that you have to pour into a product to make it successful, without doing the proper due diligence, without looking at the data that you need to make decisions about these products to make them profitable and to make them winners that are going to consistently, bring you all of this revenue and profit without any additional work, right? Because that's the point of Amazon FBA. You do the work up front, you build the infrastructure, and then, forever, basically, your product is just churning and generating that money, and you can move on and move your efforts on to a different product, right? And then you're building this huge catalog, and everything starts to make, that same independent money. But once you have 10 products, once you have 20 products, it starts to exponentiate very quickly when you're making 5 to 10,000 per product, and you get up to 20, 30, 40 products, right? You're officially my new sensei. Bows humbly. Thank you, Troy or Trey. I appreciate that. Do you have hours that you prefer people to PM you on Facebook? I mean, I'm a night owl. Right now, I'm in the USA, but normally it changes, right? I was in South America for 4 months and Asia for 4 months before that. So, no, I mean, I'll always read my students' messages regardless. It just, if I don't answer right away, it's probably because I'm sleeping during that time zone, so don't worry about it. When you say you're eye tracking 50, you basically mean you're eye tracking 50 keywords with 5 products each. No, Kim answered that correctly. It means I'm tracking 50 products, and they're not all related, right? I might find, a baby. What did I find the other day on the student video? The canopy, the baby canopy, right? I might find that, and then next it would be something in patio, and then next it would be something in office products, right? I've shared the different product categories that I've found have been most profitable, and you can find the most products in the training. So, I mean, focus your efforts there. Kim, lol, I PM him at 3 a.m. Yeah, I know you do. Emily, yeah, I know you do. And I always answer you in the mornings. Do you always order samples before actually placing an order? Brad, no, I actually don't. And that's definitely counterintuitive to what, a lot of other people are saying. But, if it's an incredibly simple product, a video of them, moving it around and messing with it, an HD video and images is sometimes enough. If there's any complexity at all, any electronics, any specific design points that are vital, then absolutely do get a sample. It's worth it. Can we put our LLC name for our display name too? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can, but there's no, you don't have to. Do you give your suppliers a time frame for when products need to be complete led by? I'm gonna assume that it says completed by. Yeah, absolutely. There's no question you should include this because things drag out. I recently had a situation where I had to refund 15 grand for a deposit because they were just dragging out. Like they just kept making excuses, right? And I had that in my purchase order clause. The lead time, the manufacturer lead time should take no more than 30 days. At which point afterwards, we agreed to refund the deposit fee. And since I had that in the PayPal order notes, it was very easy to get my refund, and we moved on and found a different manufacturer. I'm gonna go back to YouTube for a second. Why are you so coy about your income? Scott K. I recognize you from all the comments, man. I love you. Keep hustling. Any freight forwarder suggestions? Sam, yeah, I talked about this. It's in the common questions document. I share the ones that I use. So you can, go ahead and check those out in the larger Facebook group. So you're the wholesale gurus? No, I do all private label. So ideally, if I'm about to supply from China, oops. Dang it, every time somebody does a new comment, it moves me down and I'm missing a ton of these. I'm sorry. If I have my product in major retailers like Walmart, Target, does that mean there's a good chance it's patented? Not necessarily, but I mean, just use Google Patents. If there's a brand name on it, you can find it really easily, right? Like Squatty Potty is a good example. You can find that. It's the only, option in the Google Patents. So you can just Google search it. I mean, Google is the best organizer of information in the entire world by far. So just use that to your advantage. Google Patents is your friend. It's so much easier than using the U.S. government system. William, what's your story? How'd you get started, and what else do you do as an entrepreneur? I did everything. I mean, I tried monetizing blogs, travel blogs. I tried affiliate marketing. I made an iOS app for a game with some of my buddies. I never wanted to work for anyone. I double majored in accounting and computer science, and I started working for an accounting company called PwC. And then I spent some time at Facebook, and it was great. I mean, I made some friends. I worked way, way too many hours, and I just decided that I never wanted to work for anyone the rest of my life. So I just truly committed to that, and things worked out okay. So you started with 6K for your first time selling on Amazon. Ashley, yeah, I did. TDT, how long does it take to start to see your investments coming back to you? Between 1 and 3 months. Also, can you go into ClickFunnels? I saw your ad. William, yeah, I am actually going to make a exclusively ClickFunnels section of the course. And obviously, I'm going to be sharing some great free content on the YouTube channel as well. You turned 6K into 200. Still hungry. Yeah, I mean, that was just for my very first product set. Once I air shipped in the first section of that and started to see how quickly I was reiterating and generating those returns, then, I poured some more money into that. How do I join/qualify for Amazon Marketing Services? I actually have a tutorial. I don't know if you're in the course, but I have a really specific tutorial about how to do it. If you're in the USA, just search Amazon Marketing Services, basically go through Vendor Express, go through all the steps. Does Kevin still work a 9-to-5 job? Adam, absolutely not. I never will again for the rest of my life. If Merchant Words search says 355,000, is that good? Yeah, it's good, but Merchant Words, like I've said, is an estimate, right? Nothing is for real except for Google Keyword Planner. Only the search engines have true volume. That's what I'm wondering. He keeps saying my 9-to-5 job. Sorry, I don't know if I said my 9-to-5 job. Maybe I was giving an example back when I used to work one, but I haven't worked a 9-to-5 job for years. If your ads are showing up on like page 3 and 4, but your listing is organically on page 2, should you turn it off? Don't worry about auto, Nick. You can't really see definitive data as far as ad serves for auto campaigns. Turn on manual targeting, right? And then you'll be able to really tell where you're at from a PPC perspective. If you're organically on 2 and you have some proven, winners as far as your keywords, then just turn on Bid Plus for a phrase or exact match only with the proven winners from your search term report. Turn on Bid Plus, and then you're, incredibly more likely to show on page 1 the top result for your sponsored ad. I'm really confused. I don't know where to start. I live in Canada. How can I sell on Amazon.com in the USA while living in Canada? Mark, come into the larger Facebook group. There's a ton of Canadian sellers. Make that comment. I have a couple of close friends that sell in the US market from Canada, and they'd be happy to help you out. How much money do you usually make each year? More than I made when I was working at my 9-to-5. Does anyone know how old Kevin is? Ashley, I'm 27. Do I live in Canada? No, I don't really live anywhere, but I'm in the USA right now. I was in Brazil, Colombia, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Argentina with a couple of my best friends for the last 4 months, but I just got back. How many units do you order initially? Clock Edge, I already answered this, but basically I order enough after looking at how many are selling from the top competitors or the top organic competitors, right, to sell out of that amount within 180 days when the long-term storage kicks in. Have you ever sold anything weird, Darren? Yeah, definitely. I think whenever I see a product and I think to myself, wow, that is incredibly random, I can't believe it, it's so weird, that's a really positive sign for me. Really looking forward to getting your course. No discount needed when I get back to the USA. Island Boy, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to have you too. What? No samples? You're crazy. Yeah, no, I know. I wouldn't recommend that. But if you have a super simple product and you can just get it from a video or whatever, then sometimes it works. You and James Bowen I found really very, very reliable and legit. Thanks for all the free information you give. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, we have a video together. He's a good friend of mine. He's absolutely killing it in the affiliate program right now. I'm sure that he would say the same thing, that he's making more selling this course than he is actually selling on Amazon. What up, James, if you're out there? Really, because when you believe in something and you believe in the content is for real, then it's really easy to sell as far as affiliate, right? Because it's just how affiliate marketing is. I would never sell something as an affiliate marketer that I didn't personally truly believe in, because it's just not going to work. Can you have multiple seller accounts using the same mailing address? No. Saying you have to have everything completely different, right? You can get a second approved account from Amazon, but even when you do that, I recommend to make everything completely different, right? Because you don't want to get, the same thing, both your accounts suspended due to, a similar email address or due to a similar address or anything like that. Tis forever. I only caught the tail end of something you said with LLC. Do we have a register an LLC before selling? No, you don't have to. You can sell as an individual, but you don't want to for FBA because you have to pay a per item fee. What about using AliExpress? Excuse me, Mario. Yeah, but that's more like drop shipping. FBA is more, sending the inventory in, ordering it beforehand with an upfront capital investment. Does your Seller Central have to be registered to your LLC as a DBA? No. I'm going to go back to the Facebook group really quick. Do you give your suppliers a time frame? Yeah, we already talked about that. Oh my God, you're 27. Wow. Yeah. What is your preferred method of payment for placing orders? Do you normally do TT or trade assurance? Brad, for the 30%, I pay via PayPal with a credit card as the payment method. I can't preach that enough. It saved me more than once, right? Because if PayPal doesn't find in your favor for goods and services disputes, if you ever have a problem with your supplier, you have a second step disputing it with your credit card, and it's saved me before. Trust me, it's worth the extra fees. Shit, you got me all messed up. I'm just confused because you generally track the top 5 sellers for each product. So if you're tracking 50 products, you're tracking the Yeah, no, I am, Chris, I am. But I have VAs doing it now. But originally, I was tracking the top 5 competitors for 50 different products for 3 days. Right? It took 30 minutes or an hour even in Excel to get all those numbers. But once you have the data, then you can make informed decisions. And from there, then you're not going to have inventory sitting in the FBA warehouses, which is important. Yes, ClickFunnels tutorial appreciated. Yes, please. Yes, definitely looking for it. Yeah, of course. No, the ClickFunnels is an absolutely incredible platform. It's not going anywhere. It is very unique, right? It's so powerful to replace websites, to take out a lot of the technical knowledge related to websites, etc. 27, oh my God, I feel old. No, you're not old at all. Me too, because he's young-spirited, but I just turned 28. Rochelle, I'm sure you're young-spirited as well. James is on an airplane headed to Toronto. Okay, cool. Kevin, any books you can recommend for e-commerce entrepreneur? Yeah, message me. I have a huge catalog of ebooks, business ebooks in my Google Drive. I'm happy to share. Hey guys, when you pull your search term reports for automatic PPC campaigns, why do they show other sellers' ASINs in the search term column? I know I've seen this before, but I can't seem to find the answer. That's actually a great question, Chris. I wonder that same thing. The reason is because people will, other Amazon sellers and things like that will copy and paste your ASINs from your URL into the search bar to find it, and sometimes they'll buy it to look at the product, look at how the packaging is. That is what I think is the main reason. The other reason is, some people just save the ASIN related to a product for later and then search it and buy it. But I mean, besides those, I can't really see somebody naturally, organically searching an ASIN rather than a product title to find it, especially not for the first time. I think it's mainly Amazon sellers reviewing other competitors' products, just searching from the ASIN in the URL bar. But I actually don't. I won't say that I know that one for sure. But that would just be my guess. What is a good rate to charge my VA? It depends where they are. I mean, my VAs are based out of the Philippines. I usually pay them between $2 and $4 per hour, depending on what they're doing. USD. Is there any benefit to using another seller account for selling outside of the USA or differentiating brands from US based and abroad? Trying to scale smart. Is there any benefit to using another seller account for selling outside of the USA? Differentiating brands from US and abroad. I mean, yeah, if you plan on selling that specific brand like I was talking about earlier, but I mean, you can use the same Seller Central account and have, a UK portion in the actual menu option and then a US portion. So you don't necessarily have to do this. If it just adds complexity, then don't. Just worry on, international expansion, which is already complex enough. Can you be more thorough on how you approach photoshopping quotes from manufacturers, competitors? Yeah, definitely, Brian. I'll get like a formal quote from them, right? Whether it's a PDF, whether it's an Excel document, whatever. Um, uh, can you be more thorough on how you approach photoshopping quotes from your manufacturer competitors? Yeah, so I'll download the Excel doc or the PDF or whatever, and I will basically, if it says, $3 per unit at 500 units, for 1,500 total dollars, I'll Photoshop, that 3 to a 2 or that 2 to a 1.5, and then I'll go to a completely unrelated seller and I'll say, this is what I'm getting from this specific manufacturer. I have a very good relationship with you. I'd love to give you my business, but they're offering it at 1.5. You're offering it at 3. So is there any way that we could make some sort of arrangement? And even if they come down to 2, not matching that 1.5, you're still down $1 from what that other manufacturer was potentially offering you. Kev, what type of hair gel do you use? That flow line is prop. Thanks. Module 3 explains how he does his hair. Yeah, make sure you check that out. All right, guys, let's do one or two more questions. I'm gonna take a couple more from YouTube really quick, and then I'll come back. Where do you get your photos taken for your products? I use Fiverr. Originally, I would just send one sample to myself, and I'd send one sample to my product photographer. They provide their address on Fiverr, so it's really easy, right? Just send 2 samples out. Your manufacturers are happy to do that with e-packet shipping. And it's easy to just go ahead and get that done. Now I use a more custom team based out of New Zealand, but before I was really just using Fiverr, and they do a great job, and they have incredible prices, and you can just ship it straight from China to the Fiverr's address, and so you never have to actually have it yourself. Marcelo, you're asking some good questions. I was wondering the same thing. Any good e-commerce books, Kevin? Yeah, Island Boy, message me on Facebook. I'll give you a big data file full of all of the best business books. I've read pretty much all of them popular ones at least. She started with Sponge and then built a brand around waist trainers. Sorry, Krista, I don't know. I missed it. I had to scroll down because there's too many questions. Let's be honest here. How is this guy 27 extreme? Thank you, Ashley. I'm not going to read that one out loud, but I appreciate that a lot. What are the steps I need to take to ship my source products to an Amazon warehouse? Vin, that's a complicated question, but I'm happy to address that in another way. My shipping and suppliers module covers that incredibly in depth. Travel vlog coming soon, Abner. I don't know, maybe. We'll see, but for now, I'm just going to keep it focused on Amazon, helping all my students get, out of their 9-to-5 jobs and get to be to that point where, they're doing whatever they want, which is the key to life. You can't be doing something for someone else. Not for long, anyways. If you can get a product that's already competitive for cheap, would you attempt to sell it? It depends. I mean, if you can get it for half as much as everyone, then that's your built-in product. That's your built-in margin right there. Thoughts on selling a 100% unique fidget spinner on Amazon? Dave, absolutely not. That the phase is past. I have friends and I've heard of other people. Somebody was telling me that even one of the other teachers of a course that's kind of popular on YouTube has 10,000 fidget spinners just sitting, not selling even one per day in his Amazon account right now. How old is the course, and what is your history and success on Amazon? Miguel, the course is about a month old. I had some beta testers that were just really insistent on Facebook that I kind of helped individually and used the course for the first time. I kind of based my chronological steps and some of the things that I was teaching on their questions just to make sure that it covered everything from a beginner, intermediate, and then a ton of advanced topics as well. I just opened up my Amazon seller account in Alibaba. What else do I need? I mean, a bank account to pay your manufacturers, and email to communicate with your freight forwarders, and a computer to set up your listing. Is $1,500 good enough? I mean, yeah. Like I said before, the amount you initially invest is directly correlated to how quickly you can make the returns. Um, well, I'm getting a lot of this, but the small three-letter acronyms are messing me up. TDT, message me on Facebook. I'm happy to explain any of that. What is the most bought product you spelled? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Darren. All right, guys, I'm going to take one more from YouTube, and then I'm going to answer a few more on Facebook, and then I'm going to shut it down for tonight. We're at almost 2 hours. It's been fun. When getting a new product or a new supplier, is it a bad idea to ship the product to yourself to check the quality, then out to Amazon? No, it's not a bad idea. I'm just personally lazy, and I'm not in the USA like all the time, right? So when I'm not in the USA, I can't really ship it to my address to check and then ship it out to Amazon. But for your first product or whatever, it's okay to send it to your house first. Take a look at all the different quality. Make sure that everything is kosher before you send it off to Amazon. Make sure there's no damaged units and things like that. And from there, you're gonna be in a-okay shape. But I mean, that is the point of an inspection, right? So if you want to save money and you don't want to spend money on that inspection, then shoot it out to your own house, do the inspection yourself, right? If you're on a budget at the beginning, that's fine, right? But if you're not on as much of a budget, I like to just hire an inspection company, fill out a very detailed report of exactly what they're checking, right? Product specs, quality, packaging, making sure that the labels are ordered and organized correctly, right? And so that's everything for YouTube. Thank you guys so much for the questions. I'm going to answer a couple more on Facebook, and then I'm going to shut it down for tonight. Can you describe how heavily we can brand our packaging? I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I always just do glossy, either white or black main color packaging, because it's what all the packaging manufacturers have, and it's what is it's so much cheaper to just use a black or white base with whatever your colored logo is, right? They're okay with adding a single colored logo, maybe a piece on the back if you want to print your FN SKU directly on the box. But apart from that, making an overly complex box is going to cost a lot up front, and it's not going to generate you a ton more revenue, selling on Amazon. For your logo, is it better to have a colored logo or just black and white? I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have whichever one you want. If you're going for like the minimalist look, then maybe you have a white on a black base, or you have a black on a white base, or if you're selling a jungle product and you want to have like a parrot that's like fully colored, right? It just depends on what you're selling. Will manufacturers offer you a digital template for packaging you to edit yourself? Some do, Matt, but not always. I have those templates for you guys though. Just message me and I'll send them to you guys. You're awesome, Kev. Thank you for taking the time to answer every single one of our questions. Yeah, of course, Yakov. That's what I'm here for. Thank you so much, Kev. Yeah, of course, Emily. Of course, Bjorn. All right, guys. We will see you soon. Thank you so much for participating. I hope that helps. I'll post this to the student groups as well, the replay. So, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys all soon.